This episode of Dorking Out is brought to you by Mackenzie, Brackman, Cheney, and Kuzak, one of Los Angeles' most accomplished law firms. Come to our office downtown for a free consultation, located at 444 Flower Street.
And the letter P, because you can't spell promposal without P. Seriously, teenagers, stop making promposal videos and asking celebrities to take time out of their busy lives to attend your prom. For every high school boy trying to get Emma Stone to attend his prom, there's a high school girl crying that she can't get a date. Go to the prom with someone your own age, you dork.
Holy cow, you sound like an old woman. Jesus. Don't have fun, kids. Don't dream dreams. Don't shoot high. Stay in the gutter.
No, you know what? Promposals are stupid. That's what I'm saying. They are stupid. Like, first of all, like, being a teenager is hard enough. And now we're, like, asking them to, like, put all this pressure on them over a stupid prom. A prom.
That's right, kids.
It is not a marriage proposal.
Don't shoot high. Stay in the gutter with your own kind, you young ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, no, come on. Like, then it's like, Emma Stone's such a jerk because she doesn't respond to these videos. Do you know how many of these she probably sees? That's ridiculous.
Who says she's a jerk for not responding to these?
Well, by the way, she did respond. But there's been other ones where, like, people make these for celebrities. And then when celebrities don't respond, people are like, what a jerk for not responding. And I'm like, there's probably, like, 1,000 of these. It is not their job to respond to every teenager who wants to go to the prom with them. I'm like,
yeah,
go
that's
to the
right.
prom with someone your own age.
Shoot lower is the point. That is a public service.
That's not what I'm saying.
That's a public service announcement from Dorking Out. Don't dream dreams.
Also, just promposal. And these are what was it, from La La Land for the ones who dream.
That's right. No, none of those people are on this podcast.
They're stupid. Don't you think they're stupid?
I don't have any. I don't know a damn thing about any of them. I have no idea.
Do you know what they do? Like mainly boys have to go
all
out.
Oh my God! Well then, strike one.
No, you're not listening.
That's true.
Girls kind of are putting the pressure on boys for this, I think. Like they have to go all out to ask them to the prom. It is silly. That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't need to, like, book an orchestra to play outside some girl's house and, like, serenade her and ask her to the prom. That's ridiculous.
Oh. Here's to the ones that dream.
That's what I'm saying. I know it makes me sound like a cranky old lady, but it's stupid.
Ooh.
Like, there's not enough pressure on teenagers. Now, like, girls have to compete with Emma Stone for a date to the prom.
This is the longest intro joke in the history of podcasts.
You might want to edit it a little bit.
No, this is all going in. This is all gold.
Even with my dog barking in the background?
With your dog barking.
Because he's upset.
That's right.
Girls shouldn't have to compete with Emma Stone or Natalie Portman or whoever it is they're asking, Mila Kunis, whatever.
So bring on the rebels, the ripples from pebbles, the painters and poets and plays. Here's to the fools who dream, crazy as they may seem. Except for here, get back in your lane, kids.
Get back in your lane, you dorks.
In fact, don't even ask people from other schools. You stay in your own school. In fact...
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we have our whole lives where we compare ourselves to celebrities and, like, we feel gross and fat and ugly because we're not as beautiful as these actresses. And now we have to compete with them for dates for the prom? Come on.
Here's to the hearts that break. Here's to the mess we make.
You know what? I am not sorry. You can go ahead and leave this whole rant in. I am not sorry. I stand by my rant. It is stupid and unacceptable, and I'm a cranky old lady.
Houston, flight is go.
Mila, let's go.
From Assignment X, Amalgamated Storytelling, and TheSoniaShow.com, it's The Dorking Out Show with Christopher Allen Smith and Sonia Mansfield. We now join our podcast already in progress. Welcome to episode 42 of Dorking Out, a podcast for people who like to dork out about stories and the stories and culture that we love. Most of them. This isn't for you young ones. That means movies and TV, books and podcasts, and everywhere else that you find stories that interest you. This is the Let's Pretend We Care About Sports edition. With me today is my co-host, professional writer and author of The Sonia Show, Sonia Mansfield.
Hey there.
Hello.
With me today is my co-host, Emmy Award-winning filmmaker and nerd author, Christopher Allen Smith. In this week's episode, we honor baseball season starting last week. Yay, baseball! So we're going to share our top 3 favorite sports movies, but don't worry, Smith will still find a way to mention the fact that he's reading War and Peace in there.
Not yet.
In the second half of the show, we unveil a new segment, Dorking Out Debates. What do we watch first when a movie remake is coming out? Do you watch or rewatch the old version before going to see the new version in the theater? We're going to argue about it. And finally, we will end the show with what we're dorking out about this week, including the return of The Get Down on Netflix and Louis C.K.'s monologue on Saturday Night Live. We've got a lot to talk about, so let's get this podcast started. Topic 1, our top 3 favorite sports movies. So baseball started last week, and in honor of my favorite sport, I suggested we share our top 3 favorite sports movies. And it's not just because I really haven't watched anything else at all this week. It's because baseball's on. Maybe.
Meh.
I'm just going to jump right in and share one of my favorite sports movies. Are you ready?
I am ready because this was mine, but you're going first, so whatever.
Well, we could kind of share.
All right.
So my number 1 favorite sports movie is...
This is a petulant
This is
show.
not a surprise. Is what?
I said this is a petulant show. Now that I think about it, that was a very petulant way for me to talk about that. This is going to welcome our fans in very nicely for us to be kind of sniping at each other for the rest of the show. I apologize. I'm sorry.
I think this is maybe why people listen.
That's right. I'm not apologizing to you. I'm apologizing to them. Wow.
Yeah,
I'm slurring my words.
did it again.
As though I'm drinking, but I haven't drank at all. All right. Sorry. Anyway.
So my favorite
Back on
sports
track.
movie is also one of Smith's favorite sports movies, and maybe we could fight over who loves it more. It is Bull Durham from 1988. Not only is it one of my favorite sports movies of all time, it's one of my favorite romantic comedies of all time. When I first saw Bull Durham, I was 17 years old, and a lot of the sex and relationship jokes and the themes of like getting older, well, it didn't really connect with me because I was 17.
They're connecting now.
I'm like, it is. Like, I was a pretty naive teenager too, but I still really loved the movie. And really my esteem for this movie has grown over the years. I think it's the best Kevin Costner's ever been. And I think him and Susan Sarandon are so sexy in this movie. And I think this is the funniest Tim Robbins has ever been, for sure.
Yeah,
I just love this. I love this movie. And every time I watch baseball, I think about so many things from Bull Durham.
Yeah. No,
Go ahead.
No, this is a fantastic movie. This is a, we have talked about on this show about how this kind of mid-range dramedy movie is much better done on television, blah, 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 blah. But Bull Durham kind of gives the lie to that. When I see a movie like Bull Durham or think about a movie like Bull Durham, it reminds me that a nicely made, the characters in this are so perfectly observed. The whole world of small town minor league baseball, just the romance and the heartbreak and the struggle and the grunginess of it is just, it's so good. And a lot of times there are a lot of movies, in a lot of romantic movies, you can tell that the leads are trying so hard to create some sort of spark some sort of on-screen chemistry, and it's just not working, and it's but the movie acts as though it's working because that's what it needs to kind of be a romantic comedy.
Well, they're
or whatever.
just two beautiful people, so they should be together.
Exactly. But Susan Sarandon and Kevin Costner and Tim Robbins, not all together at the same time, are just really perfect. You can really see why each would like the other one and why they would also be a little bit afraid of the other one and kind of sparking off. And this movie is so good, so funny. Oh, man. And Robert Wall, I think, might be...
I wrote that down, too. Yeah.
Robert Wall's character... Sometimes I have a fantasy of when computers get powerful enough, you'd be able to... And they did this on Star Trek sometimes, where they would say, I think Data did this one time, take everything you know about Sherlock Holmes and create a character based on that. And then a fake character would, like a hologram, would show up and act like a real person from this thing. Sometimes I wish that something like that would happen, and I have a fantasy of taking Robert Wall's assistant manager character from this and just watch him walk around the world and react to stuff. Because he's so
funny.
God, he's so funny. Now that I think about it, where is he
You know what?
now?
Some of my favorite scenes in that movie are Robert Wall scenes.
Oh, definitely.
So anytime I watch baseball on TV and there's a meeting at the mound, all I think about is candlesticks always make a nice gift. And, maybe we could find out where they're registered. And, and then, of course, there's this scene where, the coach wants to scare all the players.
Yeah.
And he, they're all in the shower and he runs in and he throws all the bats in and he yells at him and he says, you lollygag around the infield and you lollygag down to first and you lollygag in and out of the dugout. Do you know what that makes you, Larry? And then
lollygaggers.
Lollygaggers. It's just funny.
The timing,
the way he says it.
Yeah, the timing is so perfect. And that you're right. That meeting on the mound might be one of my. It's kind of a moment that I forget, but now that you've reminded me of it, I think that might be one of my top 5 funny moments in all of movie history.
So funny when he first comes out and he's like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "Well, Nuke's eyelids are all jammed up because his dad's here." And then somebody wants a chicken or something to take the curse off his bat, or
right.
And there's and nobody knows what to get Jimmy and Millie for their wedding. We're dealing with some serious S here.
That's right. Oh God, that's so good. Yeah. Anyway, so written and directed by Ron Shelton, who's a fantastic director, by the way. Where is he going? Oh my God, he did direct he wrote Bad Boys 2.
That's so weird because he did
White
Bull
Men
Durham.
Can't Jump.
He did White Men Can't Jump. He also didn't he do Tin Cup?
He did do Tin Cup.
He did Tin Cup, and he did the Ty Cobb one too.
He did, yeah. He did Cobb, and now that I think he did.
And then did he do the one with Paul Newman, Blaze? Did he do that
Blaze? Yeah, that was his movie right after Bull Durham.
Bull Durham. Okay, I remember.
And
right.
it looks like he's just directed his first movie in 6 years, Via Capri.
Oh,
I don't know what that is. Let's see. Oh, it's with Morgan Freeman, Tommy Lee Jones, Renee Russo. Ooh, all right.
All right then.
A two-hander action comedy in the vein of Midnight Run about an ex-FBI agent, Jones, and a mob lord. Okay, you know what? We're getting off topic.
Yes.
Bull Durham, fantastic.
Bull Durham.
Yes.
What's one of your favorite sports movies?
I am going to cheat.
Okay.
A little bit. I'm gonna go with the whole Rocky saga.
That is kind of cheating.
But really, it's Rocky 3, Rocky 4, and Creed.
Do you know, I came really close to just admitting, and putting it on my list, Rocky 3.
Oh, Rocky 3 is a fantastic movie.
Rocky 3 is easily, the most rewatchable of all the Rocky movies.
Yes.
Technically, you could be like, Rocky's the best.
Right.
But, Rocky 3 is really the one you want to watch.
Because Rocky 3's got enough cheese and enough '80s ridiculousness, but
It's got the
also,
eye of the tiger.
it is, but it's got Eye of the Tiger, and it's before it gets into ridiculous bozo territory, like which
The one where he fights the Russians.
yeah, which Rocky IV is definitely crazy, and in bozo complete fiction superhero territory. But that's kind of why I like it, because it's so ridiculous. And what's funny is it lends a fantastic backstory to Creed, which is a kind of a realistic movie.
You know what? I actually haven't seen Creed.
Jesus, Sonia, you
I know
need to
it's
do
like
that.
it's on my list too,
That's-
and I haven't watched it.
I don't want to build it up too much, but for my money, Creed is the best Rocky movie.
Okay,
It really
then I
is.
need to see it.
But here's the thing, and I'm going to throw this theory out there. And I think I might have talked to you about this before, but I'm not sure I have. Mr. T is the hero of Rocky III.
No, you have not shared that theory with me before.
He is
But
definitely
I want to
the
hear
hero.
it.
Well,
Explain it to me.
here's what it is. Mr. T, Clubber Lang. what
Mr.
is he?
Lang.
Mr. Lang, he is essentially Rocky from Rocky 1. All he wants is his shot at the title. But different from Rocky 1, which was done for, because Apollo Creed wanted to just have a publicity stunt where he fights some kind of normal palooka guy. Mr. T trains alone, focuses hard, beats opponent after opponent after opponent, and earns the right to take a shot at the title. That's how it works in boxing. You beat a certain amount of people at certain skill levels, and then you kind of prove yourself to be among the best, and you get your shot at the title. So we find out in the movie, he's been asking Mick for months and months and months, hey, I want my shot at the title. And Mick has been essentially waving him off, saying, no, you're no good, you're trash, you're nothing, you're not going to get your shot at the title. That's the point where Mr. T starts kind of making a public nuisance of himself and calling Rocky out, at the dedication of a statue and everything. And and if you listen to the exchange, and it's something that went completely by me when I was a kid, is Mick has basically been shielding Rocky from this guy.
Yeah.
And
you know what? I haven't watched it in a while.
Go back and watch
yeah.
it. It's like, it could be, a 2000s perspective. I don't even know if Sylvester Stallone intended it for this, but if you watch what Mr. T is asking for and what he's done to get himself in the position where he feels like it's fair to ask, he's totally screwed over. He is really, and because you see him training, he's a beast. He's turned himself into a beast, and that's what you're supposed to do as a boxer. You're supposed to be the biggest, baddest guy in the ring, and he has worked alone, like Rocky did in Rocky 1 and Rocky 2, to do it. But because he's brash and kind of a big talker, and I think there is a little bit of racism here, the way he carries himself, he gets villainized, but when you look at the content of what he does, when you look at the history of what he does, he is 100% right in his arguments.
I need to watch it again.
The other thing is people vilify him for killing Mick. That's the thing he's supposed to do. He was responsible for the death of Mick.
Is he, though?
No, he's not.
I'm like, because I don't think that's true.
Because you watch
I think that's what they want us to think,
Exactly.
but I don't recall ever thinking that.
That's kind of what they want you to think, and that is the emotional fuel Rocky has. Mr. T was mean to Mick, and really what happened is Mick's been complaining about chest pains for months, for weeks, and Rocky saying,
unless Mr. T made him eat all those pastrami sandwiches
Exactly.
that clogged his arteries.
That's
I don't
right.
think he's really responsible.
And at a critical moment, Mr. T, oh my God, shoves him with his arm. Pushes him a little bit.
Right.
And he falls down, or I think he falls against a banister or something. He might have falls down, but his big thing was not punching him, not hitting him, not clocking him, was just get out of my way, old man. Because I think he was on his way to the ring or something.
Right.
So then Mick has a heart attack, as old people are wont to do. And that's it. That's his big crime. His big crime is He pushed Rocky's manager when Rocky's manager was already, set 9/10 of the way towards a heart attack.
Right.
And then, yeah. So, no, you look at Mr. T. Mr. T is the hero of Rocky. I've had this theory for years.
Rocky 3.
Yes, Rocky 3. I've had this theory for years. I'm glad that I finally had the chance to put it out there. Mr. T. I actually have a Clubber Lang World Champion T-shirt because of this. I love him. I love Clubber Lang. You know what?
That's awesome.
That's what I want. I was actually kind of a little bit disappointed that we weren't going to get a Clubber Lang cameo in Creed. Hopefully, we'll get one for Creed too.
Well,
anyway.
surely we'll get a Clubber Lang like origin story or something.
That's the thing.
It's gonna happen, right?
Rocky 3 is his origin story. It should be called Clubber.
They'll reboot it. They'll reboot it.
No, they're not. Now you're just talking crazy. What's your next one?
So my next one is Field of Dreams from 1989, and I know it is another Kevin Costner baseball movie. And no, my third choice isn't going to be For the Love of the Game, this other baseball movie.
But it may as well be.
It isn't. If you don't love Field of Dreams, then I'm sorry about your cold, dead heart.
I do love Field of Dreams. Field of Dreams is fantastic.
It's about baseball, but it's also, it's about our hopes and our dreams for our lives and our relationships with our parents, specifically for our fathers. I don't want to spoil it for people that haven't seen a movie that came out in the 80s, but
that's right. It's a story about a Iowa farmer that makes a baseball field in his cornfield, right?
Yes.
Right. If you build it, they will come. That's where that comes from.
The movie, I think people love it, but I think people will also say it's a little sentimental, and people will say that like it's a bad thing. I don't think being sentimental is necessarily a bad thing. I think some movies should be sentimental. They should make us feel something, and sometimes we need that.
I agree 100%.
So when I was thinking of my favorite sports movies, sometimes I like to go back when I'm thinking of old movies that I want to talk about. And I like to go read Roger Ebert's reviews because he's my favorite. Mm-hmm. And he said, this is the kind of movie that Frank Capra might have directed and James Stewart might have starred in, about dreams. And I was like, yeah, this is probably why I love it so much.
Oh, that really hits me. That really hits home. I
love this movie, and I consider it like one of my huge flaws that my husband still hasn't seen this movie. Why I have not sat him down and made him watch Field of Dreams, I don't know. Because I know he's going to love it.
Yeah.
Burt Lancaster will break your heart in this movie. And I love Amy Madigan as Costner's wife. Right. And James Earl Jones steals the whole movie. Mm-hmm. And I love, his whole people will come, Ray speech about baseball. That's the best. It's the best, Yeah. And when we talked about this before on the show, where we talked about movies that scare us that aren't scary movies, and I said Field of Dreams. So this is actually the second time we've talked about this movie on our podcast, because if you refer back to that episode, I was talking about when the little girl's eating the hot dog and she falls off the bleachers and starts choking, and how it's my nightmare. And every time my kid is eating a hot dog, I think of that. Yeah. And I worry that he's going to choke.
Yeah. I hear you.
What is your next pick?
My next pick would have been Bull Durham.
Yes.
But instead, it's going to be... I just realized that all of our choices, except for the honorable mentions, all of our ranked choices came out within about a 9, except for Rocky, came out within about a 9-year span in the late 80s and 90s.
You know what? I'm looking at your list right now, and we both have one that came out recently in the honorable mentions. But that's it.
So, anyway, mine is John Sayles' retelling of the Black Sox scandal from 1918. It's 1988's Eight Men Out.
That would make an excellent double feature with Field of Dreams.
It's a fantastic movie. Now, this might be the spot where The Natural would be in, but it's been a little bit too long for me to remember everything about The Natural. All I remember is I really love that movie, but I haven't seen it in a long time.
You know what? I just watched it
It's great.
like 2 years ago, and I was like, I don't see what all the fuss is about.
Oh, no!
The Natural totally, like, I don't know if it just, like, went over my head or I wasn't in the right frame of mind, because I know that people think The Natural is one of the best sports movies of all time, and I was like, it did nothing for me. I didn't care about it at all.
Barry Levinson. Okay, let me ask you this. Maybe this will frame my estimation of what you're saying to me. Have you seen Rain Man lately?
No, I haven't seen it lately.
Okay.
I saw it in the theater.
Right. I've seen it lately, and holy smokes, I think that movie holds up. So I'm hoping that you're just wrong and The Natural holds up, but I could be wrong. Anyway, the point is, we're talking
other
about...
people super love it.
That's
It's
right.
just me. For whatever reason, I could not connect to it.
We're talking about Eight Men Out, which is
Yes.
just it's a fantastic look into the early 1900s era of baseball, the different characters and Shoeless Joe Jackson and all this stuff. And actually, it's kind of funny. Now that I think about it, it would be a really interesting double feature to watch Eight Men Out and then watch Field of Dreams.
Okay, so you totally didn't listen to me like 2 minutes earlier when you said,
That's probably
my
true.
next pick is 8 Men Out. And I that would make an excellent double feature.
That's what you're talking about. Yes, you're right. No, I was listening to that. I thought you were talking about something else. But it's probably true that I was also not listening.
Hey, Smith,
Yes.
you know what?
What?
This movie would make a really great double feature with Field of Dreams.
What movie?
8 Men Out. Hey, 8 Men Out. That's on my list.
I've seen a boat. No. That's a deep cut for all you Finding Dory fans. Anyway, or Finding Nemo fans. So, yeah, it's a great baseball movie. And now that I think about it, what is it about? I think we might have talked about this before, but let's take a look. Almost all of our movies, even the honorable mentions, it's all baseball. Baseball, baseball,
Yeah.
baseball.
A lot of them. Yeah.
Wow. All right. Cool. Anyway.
Almost all of mine are baseball.
That's right. And all of your picks, all of your top picks are baseball.
Yeah.
He said, spoiling a little bit, what's your last pick? What is your last pick, Sonia Mansfield?
Well, you haven't really. Are you done with 8 Men Out?
I am
Okay.
done with 8 Men Out. It's a fantastic mid-range drama. Actually, you know what? Let me step back. I talked a little bit about how Bull Durham would not be any better as a 10-part, prestige drama, and how we do still need movies of that kind in the movie theater because there's a certain kind of magic. 8 Men Out would make a fantastic
Absolutely.
7-part series on HBO.
I would watch it.
Talking about, how owners treat the players and how management treats workers, and not to get all union-y about this, but this is one of the big reasons that baseball players really tried to form a union because, they were, world famous athletes that weren't getting any money. So a lot of them were doing this just to make ends meet and just to, get some of the money that was coming in from the fact that they were in the World Series. But, the owners were kind of taking it and feeding them peanuts. And anyway,
Right.
Fantastic. Hopefully it won't be too jarring for people to see. Let's see. Yeah. John Cusack, fantastic. Christopher Lloyd, fantastic. John Mahaney, fantastic. Charlie Sheen, yes. Charlie Sheen. Yeah. God, wow. Now I forgot about all these things. David Strathairn, D.B. Sweeney is Shoeless Joe Jackson. Michael Rooker, holy smokes.
There's a lot of people.
There's a lot of fantastic people in here. Anyway, so, yes, 8 Men Out, fantastic movie.
Why do you think we all pick so many baseball?
I don't know. I think there's something about the pace of baseball and the pace of drama telling in movies. Because a lot of there's a lot of quiet, focused, dramatic moments in baseball where you're wondering what the pitcher's going to do, and when the pitcher does this, what the reaction's going to be. It's a very cinema-friendly game. When tennis, for example, or football is a lot more frenetic, a lot more all over the place, quick hits.
Yeah. I think baseball leaves room to be thoughtful.
Yeah.
About your choice. Not always. I mean, if a ball's coming at you 100 miles per hour, you don't have a lot of time to think before you hit it. But it certainly does. You have time to think when you're on that pitcher's mound and you're debating what you're going to throw and things like that, I think.
Right.
Also, it's just the national pastime.
Well, not anymore.
Well, it is to me.
All right. That's true. But you live in San Francisco, which is a world unto itself.
So I didn't want to pick all baseball movies, but I totally failed.
Sorry. I would just like to offer a preemptive apology for all the petulanceness I am showing tonight. All right, continue.
Anyway, I was trying to say he's not sorry, you guys.
I don't like it when mom and dad fight.
He's not
says
sorry.
Our entire audience.
Yeah. No, I think they do like it. So I didn't want to pick all baseball movies, but I totally failed, and it's just because I really like baseball. I can't help it. Sorry, everybody. I could have put a different movie as my last choice, but then I'd be a liar. But I will say Rocky III almost made the list. So my final pick is A League of Their Own, 1992, with Tom Hanks, Gina Davis, Lori Petty, and of course Madonna and Rosie O'Donnell. And I think this movie is really most famous for the "there's no crying in baseball," which is a really great scene.
Yes.
But I think there's a lot more to this movie than that. It's the true story about, the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. And, it's a fictionalized story about one of the teams, but the league really happened. And I just think it's one of those stories that honestly, I didn't even know until the movie came out. I didn't know that was a thing.
Right.
So kind of reminds me a little bit of when we were talking about Hidden Figures.
Right.
Like it's just this really great, interesting, true story that I wouldn't, honestly, I had no idea. So not only is it a great movie about women playing baseball, but it's also about sisters. And, I'm a sister. So this is a movie I can connect with.
So do you and your sister ever get together and watch this?
I seriously doubt we've ever sat down and watched this. Maybe we have. Maybe it's been on TV and we've watched it together. Gina Davis is the beautiful and smart and awesome baseball player sister. And then Lori Petty is the one who's, pretty good at baseball and is really in her shadow. And, I think a lot of sisters kind of have that kind of relationship where one is the one everyone notices and then the one that's kind of, behind. So I think.
So who's the Lori Petty of your sisterhood? Answer now. Don't think about it. Answer.
I think my sister and I would both say that we're both the Lori Petty, but it's not true. She is totally the Gina Davis, and I am the Lori Petty.
All right.
Absolutely. This is just one of those movies that whenever I see it's on, I'll start watching it, and next thing you know, I've watched the whole thing.
Yeah. No, it's a fantastic movie. It's got John Lovitz is in there.
Yeah.
Which might be my favorite performance of his on the big screen.
Yeah. And it's one of those movies that's got you watched it in the theater and you remember liking it. And then if you rewatch it, then you remember it's got kind of a bummer ending.
Yeah. It does.
That you've forgotten about.
Yeah. But it's also got a lot of great I think it's one of those movies, and we should come up with a term for this. One of those movies that just it's better than you remember. For some reason, you don't remember it being as good as it is. And then it's like, oh, it's got this scene, it's got that scene, it's got that moment. And, oh, my God, this is a fantastic movie.
And then, of course, there's the opposite. There's the movie you saw in a theater that you were like, that movie's so awesome.
That's
and
right.
then, 15 years later, you watch it and you're like, what? What was I thinking? The magic's gone.
That's right. One of my biggest examples of that is a sports movie. Trey Parker and Matt Stone's Basketball.
Oh my,
Which-
by the way, my sister thinks that's like the funniest movie ever. She
Oh,
loves
thank
that movie.
God!
She loves it.
I loved that movie.
Seriously, she'll start laughing until she starts crying. Like
That's right.
just talking about it, she starts laughing. She loves
I
it so
love.
much.
She is the Gina Davis. No, she's 100% right. I
really
watched that in a preview back when I was doing movie reviews in Los Angeles, and it was like one of the best movie going experiences I had ever had. The audience, I guess it was salted or something with like. I don't even know if it was like a crew screening or something, but that audience loved that movie like crazy. And then I saw it on video 9 months later, I think, and it was just like, is this the same movie? Yes. No. Anyway. So
what is another one of your picks? What's your
my last pick is cheating a little bit, but not really. It is Cameron Crowe's 1996 movie starring Tom Cruise, Jerry Maguire.
That is not cheating at all. That is absolutely a sports movie.
It is, but it's not about the man, and that's the thing. Yeah, it's definitely a sports movie, but it's mainly one of the last of his great romantic comedies, and it's got a fantastic performance by Cuba Gooding Jr., which I what's going on with Cuba Gooding Jr.? What went on between Jerry Maguire and The People versus O.J. Simpson?
Oh my God, he made ridiculous
movies. So many bad movies.
He made Boat Trip.
He did. Oh,
he made Snow Dogs.
He did. Yeah. Anyway, but when you see this movie, it's like, oh, that is a talent that when you focus him in the right way, when you give him the right part, he just burns off the screen. He is fantastic. I love that movie. So yeah,
I love that movie too. I think I haven't seen it in a really long time, but I still love it.
Yeah, and now that I think about it, there is a kind of what it's like to be a working journeyman professional sports figure, kind of like 8 Men Out, or like what it's like to work day by day, worry day by day. You're going out there on the field and doing all the work you can at the top level of the game anywhere in the world. And, you know, at first he comes off as kind of one of these stereotypical cocky football players. But then, you know, the more Jerry gets to know him, it kind of reveals it. And actually, now that I think about it, it's funny. We're talking about Jerry Maguire, but I'm spending most of my time thinking about Cuba Gooding Jr. because he kind of stole that movie.
Oh, yeah. He absolutely did.
But Sonia...
Yeah.
What do you think of Jerry Maguire? Because I think that you are not the biggest fan.
That's not true.
I could be wrong. Of Tom Cruise? Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with Tom Cruise. I do like Jerry Maguire, though. Yeah. Very much.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise as a person gives me the creeps.
Yeah.
I think he's creepy and weird. But he chooses really good Hollywood movies.
Holy cow, he does. Yes.
Like, so, you know, I'm like, personally, I find him kind of repulsive, but then like those Mission Impossible movies are really fun.
Yeah.
So then I pay to see them. You know, he was really good in Magnolia. He's really good in Jerry Maguire. Those are good movies.
Yeah, he is. He's fantastic. And actually, yeah, that's the thing is,
you know, I like Minority Report, you know. Yeah. I liked War of the World. He makes good movies with like good directors. He's not a dummy. He's just a weirdo. Yeah.
He and going back, I'm gonna visit a little bit of revisionist history. I think he should have won the Oscar for Rain Man. Dustin Hoffman had the much more Oscar stereotypical friendly role. Right. But if you go back and watch his performance, I think Tom Cruise got robbed.
Well, I need to see it again then because I haven't seen it in a really long time.
It's great. But you didn't like The Natural, so maybe you won't like it.
Yeah, so what do I know?
So, all right.
Well, I want to list some of my honorable mentions.
Yes, let's do that. I'm sorry.
Because one of my honorable mentions is absolutely not a sports movie, but it is still kind of one of my favorite sports movies. but I didn't put it on the list because I felt like that would be cheating. And that's the original The Naked Gun.
That's right.
I think about
So good.
the ending. The last third of that movie takes place at a baseball game. And
Yeah.
it is, for me, some of the funniest stuff ever. And I think about it all the time when I watch baseball. The Naked Gun is really my favorite sports movie, but I didn't want to put it on the list. Like all of the stuff at the end, or in the baseball stuff, like, you know, they're like, we're showing the bloopers, and it's like a tiger runs on the field and like eats a player, or like they, you know, announcing all the, you know, they're announcing all the announcers or whatever, and it's like, and Dr. Joyce Brothers, and you know, just all of it. It just makes me laugh so hard. And Leslie Nielsen as the umpire, like cleaning off the plate, and like they all think he's the opera singer Enrico Palazzo, and like it's just so funny.
When's the last time you saw The Naked Gun?
Like probably last year.
Okay. How weird is it to watch O.J. Simpson in that movie?
No, it's super weird.
Okay.
It's super weird. His performance is it's so weird because he was such a huge star. Like it was weird to watch Made in America and realize, like, oh, you know, to me, I was like, oh, that's the football player that's in the Naked Gun movies.
That's right.
And then to realize that he's like this whole other thing.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I can't lie. The Naked Gun is probably my favorite sports movie. I also wanted to mention the documentary Hoop Dreams, which
I got to see that again. I think didn't Roger Ebert say that was his favorite documentary of all time?
Probably.
Yeah.
It's really, really great. It's been a little while since I've seen it, but I saw it I saw it in the theater. It played at the theater in Chico, my theater. Oh. And then I saw it a couple times. I really liked it. And then, you know, of course I rented it over the years, but it's been a little while. And then I super love Happy Gilmore. I think it's really funny.
It is. No, that's
and that's another one that I think about a lot, where especially with Kevin Nealon, and he's like, you know, he's doing the bull, you know, was it doing the bull dance, feeling the flow. Like I quote that all the time. And then of course Major League, and I love the cheerleading movie Bring It On. I think it's really funny.
I have not seen Bring It On, but I'm going to throw in mine. I'm going to run through mine.
Bring It On is way better than it has any right to be.
That's what I hear. I'm a little interested in that. I'm a little curious about that movie because the reputation it has seems to grow over the years.
Yeah.
So my honorable mentions are Kingpin.
Yes,
Big Earn is Above the Law.
So
You can never count out a Bill Murray. It's almost a cameo. He's in that movie so little, but it's so unbelievably funny. The Natural, Barry Levinson's movie that we talked about before, and then a movie that's on your list that I think, I don't know, if I thought about it more, I might have put Moneyball actually on my list. Yeah, Moneyball from Aaron Sorkin's
Moneyball was
scripts.
on my my honorable mention, but I left it off for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And now I'm screwing up the discussion of it real quick. So, and then last but not least, 1984's Ralph Macchio, Pat Morita, The Karate Kid, which might be one of my favorite endings to a movie, even though it is so obvious, so expected, so...
No, there's a reason that movie. There's a reason that movie's a classic. It works.
It works like crazy.
Yeah.
So
can I tell? Yeah. I'm gonna tell one more story that involves my sister.
Yes.
So she went to a party, like a costume party, where you were supposed to dress up as a villain, and somebody there was dressed up as Johnny from The Karate Kid.
Oh.
And I was like, "That's amazing.
That's my guy." Cobra Kai. All right. Sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg.
on this topic. On to topic 2. That brings us to topic 2, Dorking Out Debates. What do you watch first? We're trying to figure out kind of the best way to talk about this subject. We don't really have a great word for it, but it essentially boils down to movie or television homework. Like when a new season of a show is coming up, do you watch the previous season to get ready? Like a lot of people are doing now, knowing that Twin Peaks is coming, they're watching Twin Peaks. I know a lot of people are doing this. I myself am anticipating season 3 of Fargo. So what we did was we watched season 2 of Fargo. Then last night we watched the movie Fargo. Now we're watching season...
I love the movie so much.
You know what? Here's an interesting thing.
Oh, no. Don't upset me.
No, I'm not going to upset you. It's a fantastic movie.
It is.
The series are better.
Well...
Season 1.
I love the TV series too, but the movie's one of my all-time favorite.
No,
movies.
I get it. You're 100% right, and I think that is a mark of how good TV is.
Yeah.
And we're already derailed, but I'm going to follow this rabbit down the hole. Yeah. So we watched season 2, which takes place in the 70s. Then we watched Fargo, which takes place in the 80s. Then we're watching Fargo Season 1, which takes place in the 2000s. And then Fargo Season 3, I guess, is going to take place in 2010. So we're kind of watching them in chronological order.
Interesting. Okay.
It is, but the question is, and a lot of people do this. I did this when my son and I went to go see The Dark Knight Rises. We went to one of those all-day things. So we saw Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and then The Dark Knight Rises at midnight. So do you do homework? You are one of the people, I think, that does homework and watches movies or reads books or something before the movies come out. I know a lot of people read books if they know a movie is coming out so they can kind of compare the movie to the book, which I think is insane.
I don't do that because I think reading is for suckers.
No kidding. I have observed that firsthand. Anyway, but then there's also, people that are, Sonia, I think we've talked about this in the previous weeks. You watched the animated Beauty and the Beast 2 days before going to see the live action Beauty and the Beast, which I think is just nuts. Oh my God, that's right.
So would you have thought I needed to do it the other way around?
No, well, here's the thing, and here's why I think this is a good debate. You seem to think, and watching you and David, the way that you guys do stuff, is if a movie's coming out or a remake, or you did this with Feud, Betty and Joan, the TV series, you watch Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, and then you watched Feud.
Yes.
I think that's crazy because you kind of get ruined, or especially like with Beauty and the Beast. You get the old one in your head so much, like watching the original Magnificent.
With Feud, it was just I didn't want to ruin. I had never seen Whatever Happened to Baby Jane before, and I mean, within the opening credits, it's showing you scenes from the movie, and I was like, "Gosh, is this going to ruin the movie for me?" And David instantly was like, he stopped it and was like, "You need to watch the movie, so let's watch the movie."
Right.
And then watch the show, because the show is showing you so much of the movie. I felt it was appropriate to watch the movie first. It gives me more context for what's going on and what they're filming.
See, yeah, I'll admit that. Feud is probably a bad example, but then you get these people that watch.
But I did watch the animated Beauty and the Beast like a day or two before seeing the live action. But to be fair, I had seen the animated Beauty and the Beast before.
True, and I'm like that too. I'll see movies, and I'm one of these people that's kind of okay. I'm gonna do my movie homework, or like I'm gonna watch Star Wars Rogue One, and then I'm gonna watch the original trilogy, just because it all lines up. And it's just I'm thinking with the proliferation of discussion and pronunciation. I'm losing my perspicacity. Anyway, of all these franchises, it's becoming harder and harder to kind of do your homework, because the idea is you watch these things, you have it all in your head, so when you watch the new thing, you catch Easter eggs, you catch things that are going on, you're able to find, more closely watch the subtext and get more stuff out of it. But the more I do it, kind of the less enjoyable it is. It feels like, even though I love, let me just finish this real quick. I'm sorry. Even though I love Fargo, I will have watched 22 hours of stuff just to watch episode 1 of season 3.
Right.
And that's
a lot of homework.
That is a lot of homework, and it's not enjoyable, which is kind of, I saw one of the things that you wrote down here is watching Jessica Jones before The Defenders.
Yes.
I still haven't seen, half of Jessica Jones. Finishing off Luke Cage was kind of a slog. I hear Daredevil season 2 is good, but also kind of a slog.
I didn't even watch the first season of Daredevil. I don't see that happening.
Right.
And I'm not going to, I don't really have any interest in Iron Fist at all.
I agree.
But I really like what I've seen of Jessica Jones. So it's not because it's not a good show that I haven't finished it. It's just, I have a lot of things I'm watching, and especially for our show.
Yeah.
I do a lot of, if people follow me on Twitter, they probably see I'll have the hashtag podcast prep. It's I do a lot of podcast prep.
Right.
So sometimes Jessica Jones, has to wait.
So, movie homework or pop culture homework. Maybe that's what we should call it.
Yeah.
Pop culture homework.
I do a lot of pop culture homework.
Has it helped? Has it added to your experience, do you think?
I think sometimes it does.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to talk about the remake of The Magnificent Seven.
Right.
Last year.
Right.
And in prep for that, I watched the original Magnificent Seven, and then the Western, the original Magnificent Seven Western. And then I watched the remake.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next night I watched The Seven Samurai. Which is a lot of movie.
Let me ask you, that's true. And those are all fantastic movies. Watching the original and then, I guess the next day, watching the remake?
Yeah.
What is that like? Because to me, it seems like that would be sucking out almost all of the drama and color of the remake, because you have the original kind of in your head. And it just
You know what? I think I think you're right. I think it kind of did. I think it tainted the remake for me.
Wow. I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? I didn't hear it.
Shut up. So for for Ghost in the Shell, I did the reverse.
Mm-hmm.
I went to see the remake, and then the next night watched the animated movie.
Right.
And actually what it did, I still don't like the live action remake. I don't think it's very good, but it did help me appreciate that it wasn't just a shot for shot remake.
Right.
Of the animated one.
Right.
But I don't think the live action remake really compares.
Right.
To the animated one. But I am big on pop culture homework.
I think that's where I'm coming down, is I'm starting to think that all of this, it's just not, I don't know, it doesn't add as much, because you're right, it gives you context, it gives you the ability to pull stuff out, but it doesn't, I don't know, do it enough. You know what I mean?
I don't think it, honestly, for a movie like The Magnificent Seven remake,
right.
It didn't add anything. It only took. Right. It only took away. I think rewatching Twin Peaks before the new one starts,
right,
that's only going to add.
Yeah.
You probably haven't seen it, since it was on.
Yeah.
Or when I say you, I mean most people.
The royal you.
Yes. So there's probably going to be a lot in the new series that you won't remember. You need to refresh your memory. So now, you're going to get something from that.
Here's the thing, though. Is it you need to refresh your memory, or the filmmakers need to acknowledge, look, this show came out 25 years ago. Maybe let's not be so heavy on the Easter eggs and callbacks. Maybe we just start the new story and it has to stand on its own.
There's some of that too.
Right.
There is some of that too. But they want to reward people for being fans, which I understand. But yeah, it needs to stand on its own. Absolutely, it needs to stand on its own.
All right.
And I think that's true of all those Marvel movies too. They need to remember that.
Yeah, I think I am definitely a bad judge of this, because I think they have they've been pretty good about standing on their own. But actually, the Marvel movies is kind of where I first started noticing this. Is like, before each one would come out, it'd be like, hey, you know what? Let's give the Marvel movies a watch, and then we'll go out and see Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever. And now it's like, I don't know, 30 hours of stuff.
Right. You're like, I can't watch all these every time.
Exactly. I can't watch it. How many times do I have to see the original Iron Man?
Right.
And then now with all the television shows and stuff, it's become completely impossible.
Right. Well, some of it is almost like, some people do it almost as like a bragging thing.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm getting ready for the new season of Doctor Who, so I started rewatching from the beginning, and it's like, good for you. I'm glad that you have so much time on your hands that you can rewatch.
That's right.
20 seasons of Doctor Who, or however much it is. I don't know.
God, I don't know how a Star Trek fan would do this. There's like
and that's
750 hours of Star Trek.
Yeah, that's interesting. You brought up Star Trek. So when last year's Star Trek movie came out, I kind of wanted to watch the old Star Trek movies, and I only watched the original 6 with the original cast. It doesn't even relate to this movie, but for some reason I was like, this is where I'm drawing the line.
That's right.
Like, I'm only watching the original 6 with the original cast. Like, I'm not going to move on to Generations. I won't even watch Into Darkness or the Star Trek reboot, which maybe would have made more sense. But for some reason, that's what I decided to do. I'm a weirdo.
And on that note, don't let me step in and disagree with you. Do you have anything else you would like to say about doing your pop culture homework?
No.
All right. On to things we're dorking out about this week.
And now it's time for us to talk about what we're dorking out about this week. I'm going to go first. I'm downright giddy that The Get Down has returned for, I wrote here season 2, but that's actually not correct. It's part 2 of season 1.
Oh, no, Netflix. It's not. It's season 2. I'm not saying this to you. I'm saying this to Netflix. When did The Get Down season 1 part 1 come out? When did it come out?
It was last summer.
Exactly. You know what? No, it's season 2. But anyway,
I've been calling it season 2, but apparently that's not what it is. I'm really, really excited. I got through the first 3 episodes already. I really liked what I saw. There is some weird. They added some animation. They're using a huge chunk of animation to tell the story. It's very strange, which they didn't do in the first part. So I don't know why that's happening. It's very weird, but I still really like the show. I think it's got such great energy. It's so interesting. If you haven't watched season 1 or part 1, whatever, you should watch it. Do your homework and watch part 2, season 2. There's also a documentary series called Hip Hop Evolution that also is kind of telling the true story of the history of hip hop. And it'll really give you a new appreciation for the Get Down and how much they get right. It's definitely fictionalized and it's very Baz Luhrmann in some
Oh,
areas.
that's why I'm not watching it. All right.
Yes, it's very
Continue.
Baz Luhrmann, and it gets like really frantic, and busy and things like that. But I still really enjoy it, and when they are performing, it's got like such good energy that you're just bouncing in your seat. I mean, this is a show that's about like the birth of hip hop and how it crosses with disco, like kind of like the decline of like the rise and decline of disco and the birth of hip hop. And I really like disco and I really like hip hop, so this is kind of made for me.
Cool.
So
all right.
that's what I'm dorking out about this week. What are you dorking out about this week?
You know what? I was really not dorking out about a whole lot until last night, and I'm still not dorking out a huge amount, but I am interested in watching to see if the internet will get pissed off about this. Louis C.K. was on
What's
set.
the internet outraged about now?
Exactly. It seems like they're not really outraged about this as much as I would think they were. But anyway, Louis C.K. was on Saturday Night Live last night, and he had a opening monologue stand-up bit about a racist chicken and white privilege. And it was one of those things where I think what Louis likes to do sometimes is dig himself into a hole with an audience and then see if he can get out, kind of get himself in trouble with people that might be perceived as, the PC police or whatever, and then try to be clever and funny and meaningful to kind of stop what might be kind of a tidal wave of outrage in his direction. But I have to say, last night I was expecting a lot of heat and anger online today for his bit. It seemed like he kind of veered into telling some racist jokes that, if you watch the bit, I understand they're not, racist from his point of view, but he was kind of trucking in that kind of stuff. And he was.
I'm sorry, I did think the joke was kind of funny.
It was funny. That's the thing. Is it was really funny.
I'm not racist.
The chicken's racist.
The chicken's racist.
That's right. I love the discussion he had about the chicken, and first you think it's just the chickens, and then it's the chicken talking about Jews and stuff, and it's just like, oh my God. It's really funny, but it was kind of like he was... You could imagine this with 3 or 4 words changed a little bit, and I know that 3 or 4 words changed in a comedy act can make all the difference in the world. So I don't want to portray it like that as some small change, but so it's almost like if he wasn't as deft as he was and he wasn't as talented as he was, this could have come off as really bad. But the other thing is, I think that there is a contingent of people on the internet that even when somebody is as deft and as cutting and as focused as he is, or Dave Chappelle, Dave Chappelle's been getting a lot of heat in the last couple of weeks from the transgender community. I was expecting him to get kind of a lot of heat for this, and it doesn't seem like he's getting a lot. But it was. I'm just fascinated by this topic. Because I think that the other thing, and we might have talked about this a little bit in our Amy Schumer, Dave Chappelle discussion, is when we want comedians to have the freedom to examine things that are dangerous in our society, topics that are dangerous, there are going to be moments where good comedians just have an off night. They just take it too far. They take a riff in a wrong direction. And, they could accidentally end up saying, and I truly mean accidentally end up saying, some pretty awful stuff. Because they're kind of letting their mind, wander a little bit while they're trying to find the heart of the bit, as comedians do in their first pass at stuff. This is definitely not that. I'm sure he had this riff down cold, which is why it, I think, danced along the edge and maybe a foot fell over, but he didn't topple over. Did you watch his monologue?
I did, and I can't see people getting mad about the chicken thing because I think it's just a funny joke. I was pretty surprised by basically a joke about white privilege and the way he was telling it, and I was wondering if that is what would upset people.
I think
Because
that's part of it.
actually
I think it was
thought-
kind of a 1-2 punch. That was my reaction. Is okay, the chicken thing, and then he got into this white privilege thing, and I want my white privilege. That did seem kind of like a 1-2 punch.
And I think, but that's the one where I'm like, when you mention like he's digging himself into a hole and can he dig himself out? That's absolutely what that joke is. That's an excellent description. It is, I'm behaving badly, and I know I'm behaving badly, and I'm acting like a real jerk. And he's basically taking the audience along with him.
Right.
And then digs himself out at the end by admitting how stupid he is.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I thought it was I was surprised that the crowd was with him, I guess. And I thought it was funny.
Yeah. No, it was funny, but it was kind of cutting. I mean, it was, I wish his show was
I was
more like
worried
this.
for him that
Yeah.
this was going to be one of those things that people take out of context.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like a lot of people have done this to Amy Schumer. Like, they take a lot of her jokes out of context and then say, like, she's horribly racist. And I'm like, you took this way out of context.
Yeah.
And I was worried that might happen to him,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
You know what? We are recording this on Sunday night. We're going to give you a little peek behind the curtain at 9:35 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Let me see if anyone on the internet is calling for Louis C.K.'s boycott, or boycott of Louis C.K. Sonia Mansfield, why don't you entertain our audience while
I will, because I wanted to mention, as part of our pop culture homework, next week we're going to be reviewing The Fate of the Furious. And I actually haven't seen, I've seen the first two, I think. And I saw them in the theater. I have not seen them since. I'm not going to watch any of them before going to see this movie. And apparently Smith has seen them all. So this will be a very interesting experiment. Also, hey, Smith, did you know that, what would make a good double feature?
No, what would make a good double feature?
8 Men Out and Field of Dreams.
That's a great idea. You should have mentioned that in our segment when we were
I don't
talking
know
about
why.
sports movies.
I know. I feel stupid now.
I should have mentioned it now that I think about it.
I know.
But-
Oh, well. I'm glad I mentioned it now.
Yeah, try to be a little quicker on the uptakes on you.
Yeah, I'll try to be a better listener.
I think you should. I think that would help out the show a lot.
Are you done searching the internet
I
for
am done
porn?
searching the internet. It looks like there's not a lot of outrage. I gotta admit, I'm a little surprised that he's not getting more heat from the freak out, the professional freak out class.
Well, I would like to think that there's bigger things to worry about, but
Oh, there are always bigger things to worry about. There's bigger things to worry about than all the heat that Dave Chappelle's getting. No, there's
Right.
definitely bigger things to worry about. But that
so
doesn't
do you
stop
think
people
do you
from
think
worrying
it's
about it.
a race thing?
I don't know. I think I'll be honest. All right.
That a white guy can go on SNL and make jokes about white privilege and people are like, meh.
I think you know what? I think that might be it, because he's talking about a certain section of society that it's all right to kind of talk about. He kind of and then he focuses it back on himself. Nothing he's doing could be perceived as attacking. In the term that I really am not a fan of, punching down. He seems like he's directing a lot of the anger out and a lot of the.
But he's actually directing it all in.
Yeah, but at the end, he circles all back around and gets himself. And Dave Chappelle
And the chicken.
That's right, and the chicken. But Dave Chappelle is talking about a section of society that a certain set of people on the spectrum, on the political spectrum, have walled off as you can't talk about them in a joking manner. You can't make jokes about them. You can't use this subject as a source of humor. You're not, that is. I also don't really like the term PC, but there is, there is a kind of PC phenomenon that rears its head, and I think, Dave Chappelle didn't dot all his T's and
I would say that
cross all his T's and dot all his I's. So he did get a little bit of heat. I think it's much ado about nothing.
I think it's more tone deaf than hateful. I think, and if people watch it, that's what they would think.
Well,
but,
you know, see,
but they don't.
This.
They they read the article and go, he said what? And then they share the article, and they haven't even watched it. I think if they watch it, they might be like, well, this isn't going to, kind of what we talked about before. This isn't going to age well,
maybe,
maybe that's a little tone deaf or, whatever. But it didn't sound hateful to me.
I agree.
That's all.
And that's the thing. And that's what that's why I do feel a natural predilection to kind of defend Dave Chappelle on this is what he's being blamed for is not being the fastest person at the parade. He is coming along. He is being tolerant. But he's talking about, that's the thing. The subject of that bit is not transgender people. It's the speed at which his own values and his own perceptions, let's even call them, change. You grow up in world X, you live in world Y, and going from X to Y, there are certain things that you learn and change or whatever. And I think he's, I don't like the idea that if you don't move along fast enough, quick enough, according to the activists' timetable, that you're going to get labeled in a certain way. I think it is kind of crazy that a guy like Dave Chappelle is somehow being portrayed as retrograde. I was really disappointed in listening to Pop Culture Happy Hour, and they were kind of lighting him on fire and making him kind of a punchline, as though he was, Rich Little or something.
Rich Little.
That's right. That's a blast from the past. But he's a big boy. He can take it. He works in this arena. I think, Sonia, don't worry. I think Dave Chappelle will be fine.
Okay, good.
So. All right. Is there anything else that you would like to say before we sign off?
You know what would make a good double feature?
8 Men Out and Fate of the Furious.
Yes.
Sorry. That's not a joke. That's just random words being thrown together.
You're just saying words now.
Words. What would be a good double feature, Sonia?
Oh, 8 Men Out and Field of Dreams.
And on that note, we'll be back here to talk next week about awful movies we can't keep ourselves from watching.
Or The Fate and the Furious. Fate of the Furious.
Those two things may or may not be connected.
Yes.
Anything else you'd like to say, Sonia Mansfield?
I'll just say goodbye.
Bye! The Dorking Out Show is on Twitter at Dorking Out Show, where you can find Chris at Jet Jurgens and Sonia at The Sonia Show. You can read about Sonia's random adventures at thesoniashow.com and track the slow and creeping progress of Chris's novel and his other hijinks at jetjurgens.com. You can find out more about The Dorking Out Show at dorkingoutshow.com. While you're over there, you can support us by giving us a review on iTunes. We have a handy-dandy iTunes link to whisk you right back to 2007, where you can leave your review and 5-star rating in iTunes. We'd do it for your podcast. Want to dork out even more? Well, you can sign up for our newsletter, where you'll get all the headlines we use as fuel for the show. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening.